Hey, basketball fans, welcome back to Tips and Streams, your go-to spot for the hottest NBA regular season predictions. I'm Kokan, and I'm here to break down today's matchups and give you the edge you need to make the best bets. Before we dive in, make sure you hit that subscribe button and like this video. Your support means the world to us. Remember, our channel has no sponsors and relies solely on the love and support of viewers like you. Even a small donation by pressing the thanks button under the video helps us keep bringing you top-notch content every day. Don't forget to share this video with your friends and fellow basketball enthusiasts. And we love hearing from you, so drop a comment below and let us know what you want to see in our forecasts. Your feedback helps us improve and bring you the content you crave. Let's jump right into today's NBA predictions. We've got some exciting games lined up, so stay tuned and let's get that winning streak going. Today we have predictions for 5 NBA games. The first prediction for today is for a game between the Houston Rockets and New York Knicks. All right, let me break it down in my own words. I'm really excited about this upcoming showdown in New York, where the Rockets are hitting the road to take on a Knicks squad that's been playing some serious basketball lately. Now, don't get me wrong, the Rockets have had a couple of hiccups recently, including that nasty home loss to Brooklyn, but after 48 games, they've still put up a solid 32-16 record. They're hanging tough in the Western Conference, tied up for second with Memphis and only trailing the Oklahoma City Thunder. And here's something that really stands out. These Rockets have been lighting it up on the road, pulling off wins against heavyweights like Denver, Boston, and Cleveland. What I love about Houston is their relentless energy on defense and their sheer dominance on the boards. They're the league's best rebounders, and their defense ranks among the top 4. Sure, their offense isn't exactly top tier, sitting around the 10th spot, and their outside shooting can be a bit iffy. But they make up for it with hustle and a killer rebound game that fuels second chance points. I keep asking myself, though, who's going to step up as that clutch scorer to really give them an edge? Jalen Green and Alperen Sengun are both showing promise, but consistency in crunch time is what they need as the playoffs draw near. Over in New York, the Knicks are really starting to click. They've been on a roll since mid-January, hitting a 32-17 clip overall and looking strong at MSG with a 17-9 record. The big change has been the arrival of Karl Anthony Towns. I know. It wasn't an obvious upgrade over Julius Randle and DiVincenzo at first, but Towns has been a revelation, arguably the second best center in the league right behind Jokic. With Towns stretching the floor and opening up lanes, Jalen Brunson's been getting plenty of room to work his magic. Plus, Tom Thibodeau's been making sure his core is on the floor, logging massive minutes and barely missing games. Their offense is razor sharp, only Cleveland's been more efficient, and their rebounding game is top-notch. Now, here's where it gets interesting. The Rockets actually beat the Knicks back on November 4th by 12 points at home, so tonight's game could be New York's sweet revenge. I'm betting this will be a tight, hard-fought battle that comes down to who controls the glass and makes the most of their chances down the stretch. Despite the Knicks' home court advantage and their recent form, I'm leaning towards the Rockets to bounce back from those back-to-back losses, even if it's by a slim margin. Their against the spread record on the road has been killer, and if they can grind out those rebounds and play their aggressive style, I wouldn't be surprised to see them cover a plus 6-point spread. Bottom line, both teams are firing on all cylinders, but I've got a feeling Houston's going to use that gritty, never-say-die attitude to pull off a win and keep their momentum going. This game is one of those matchups where every rebound, every defensive stop counts, and I'm all in on the Rockets, showing that they're more than just under the radar. They're a force to be reckoned with when the chips are down.
Welcome to BetUS, Sportsbook and Casino, your ultimate hub for secure and thrilling sports betting and casino gaming. BetUS is one of the oldest and most reliable online sportsbooks in the U.S., serving millions of clients all over the globe each month. BetUS, trusted for over 30 years, offers huge welcome bonuses, countless betting options, and many deposit and payout methods. Depositing funds is a breeze and safe, with a minimum deposit of just $10. Payouts are fast and hassle-free, beginning at only $50. Choose from various payout options like MoneyGram, couriered check, cryptocurrency, or bank wire. Signing up is quick and easy. For signing up, you can use the link in the description and enjoy a generous 125% welcome bonus of up to $3,000. By signing up using the link in the description, you'll also support us as we earn a small commission from your registration at BetUS. Thank you for supporting us. Join now and start winning.
The second prediction for today is for a game between the Sacramento Kings and Minnesota Timberwolves. Man, I've got to say, this upcoming Kings-Timberwolves game has my attention with all the trade chatter and the team's current form. There's been a lot of noise about blockbuster deals, rumors about the Kings shipping De'Aaron Fox in a three-way swap and reuniting Levine with DeRozan, but as far as I can tell, Fox is still holding it down in Sacramento. And all that Donich Davis talk is still just talk for now. Looking at the matchup, the Wolves have a slight edge in their head-to-head history, 70-63 overall, and they've been pretty clutch in recent meetings, winning 6 of the last 10 games, including a tight split over the past 5 at the Target Center. Still, the season series is far from decided. The Wolves even took both contests in Sacramento earlier, only for the Kings to bounce back with a 115-104 win at home later. I remember that one November game where the Kings got off to a balanced start, then exploded in the second quarter to take a solid halftime lead, only to falter a bit in the third before lighting it up in the fourth. It's that kind of roller coaster performance that both squads are itching to repeat or avoid. The individual numbers have been lighting up too. Sabonis has been a beast for the Kings with his 27 points and 12 rebounds on efficient shooting, while Fox has been knocking down 26 points. Malik Monk's off the bench spark, contributing 27 points despite the turnovers, really shows the fire these guys can bring. Sacramento's defense has had its moments too, clamping down on the Wolves' shooting percentages and snatching up rebounds like a pack of hungry lions. Meanwhile, Minnesota's got some big names stepping up. Julius Randle put up a monster 33-point game, and Anthony Edwards, despite a bit of a shooting off night, added 32 points of his own. Even Naz Reid chipped in with 19, showing that the Wolves can light it up when the chemistry is right. Now, here's the kicker for anyone watching the spread. Both teams have been a bit of a bust against the spread. The Kings sit around 17-29-2, and the Wolves aren't much better at 20-28-1. The road numbers are even less comforting for the Kings, while the Timberwolves have been a bit of a puzzle at home, struggling to cover the spread in front of their own crowd. And let's be real, the Kings are on a grueling 6-game road stretch. After some brutal losses, including a 34-point thrashing by the Thunder and a 23-point collapse against the Knicks, they're clearly desperate to get back to their own court and regroup. The Wolves, on the other hand, are coming off an especially embarrassing loss to the Wizards. Losing at home when they were heavy favorites isn't exactly a confidence booster. So, if I had to break it down, here's where my head's at. For the Kings to turn this thing around, they need to crank up the tempo, run their fast break game, and cut down on turnovers. They've got the offensive tools, but until they lock in their defensive effort, which, by the way, is only 17th in the league, they're going to be vulnerable. Minnesota, with its top 5 defensive rating, is going to try and force the Kings into a half-court, methodical game, and if they can keep the ball moving instead of relying on individual heroics, they might just steal the win. At the end of the day, though, I'm leaning towards the Kings covering that 5-point spread. Even on the road, when they've shown that explosive fourth-quarter ability, they've got what it takes to hang tough. Despite all the noise from trade rumors and current ATS struggles on both sides, I think the Kings will find a way to reclaim some momentum and finally put an end to their long stretch away from home. It's going to be a battle out there, and if the Kings can stick to their game plan, I believe they're going to come out swinging. Before we move on, I have a quick favor to ask. If you're enjoying the content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Subscribing might seem like a small action, but it actually makes a big impact for us. Plus, it's completely free for you. Have you clicked that subscribe button? Awesome, thank you so much for your support. Now let's dive back into the video. The third prediction for today is for a game between the Milwaukee Bucks and Oklahoma City Thunder. Man, if you're looking for a hoops breakdown, here's the lowdown on the Bucks versus Thunder matchup that's got me fired up. The Bucks have been struggling on the road lately, coming off a rough patch of back-to-back games, bruised and battered after trips to Memphis and tough losses against teams like the Spurs and Trailblazers. They've been giving up way too many boards and letting in over 125 points, and honestly, that's not the kind of play we expect from a squad with the size and talent they have. Giannis has been doing his thing, dropping 26 on OKC the other night, but it's clear that Milwaukee's defensive woes and fatigue are starting to show, especially when you're down a few pieces and trying to push the pace on the road. Now, switch gears to the Thunder, and you're looking at a team that's been killing it at home. They're sitting pretty at the top of the Western Conference, riding a 7-3 run in their last 10 outings. After dismantling the Sacramento Kings 144-110, they've shown that their home floor is like a fortress. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the guy we all keep an eye on, is an MVP caliber form, and when you combine that with contributions from Aaron Wiggins, who exploded for a career-high 41 points recently, OKC is showing plenty of firepower. And even with some injury concerns lingering around, like Caruso being questionable and Chet Holmgren still working his way back, the Thunder's depth on both ends of the court is a big reason why they've been so consistent. The real chess match here will be on the perimeter and in the paint. For the Bucks, they need to figure out how to get more consistent rebounding and tighten up their defensive rotations. Milwaukee's been relying on Chris Middleton and Taurean Prince to step up when Giannis rests, but that's not always enough when you're going against a team that knows how to rotate and disrupt your rhythm. Meanwhile, OKC's defense has been nothing short of impressive, especially at home where they're one of the best in the league at covering spreads. They're adept at clogging the paint, with guys like Isaiah Hartenstein doing a solid job of snuffing out drives and grabbing rebounds, which is exactly what the Bucks are going to have a tough time handling if they can't keep their tempo in check. And let's not forget the backcourt battle. Milwaukee's guards are going to need to be at the top of their game to challenge the likes of Gilgeous-Alexander, whose scoring and playmaking have been a driving force for the Thunder. The Bucks are hoping that their previous win against OKC, a game where they managed to keep Gilgeous-Alexander in check, might be a sign of things to come, but the truth is, OKC's home advantage and their ability to rack up double-digit wins by a good margin really give them the edge. Milwaukee's been a bit too inconsistent on back-to-back nights, and when you're on a flight of fatigue like that, even a star like Giannis might find it tough to carry the load. All in all, my gut says that the Thunder are going to use that extra day of rest and their home court swagger to steamroll the Bucks once again. The Bucks have shown flashes of brilliance, but the recent string of losses and defensive lapses just don't cut it when you're up against a Thunder squad that's been in near-perfect form at home. Expect OKC to leverage their depth, maintain that relentless defensive pressure, and run the table in transition. It's going to be a hard-fought battle, no doubt, but if the Bucks can't clean up on the boards and tighten their rotations, the Thunder will likely dictate the pace of the game and cover the spread by a comfortable margin. So, from where I'm sitting, it looks like another rough night for Milwaukee on the road while OKC continues its dominant home run. Bucks fans, it's time to hope for a spark from those mid-range shooters and a big night from Giannis, but the signs are pointing toward a tough challenge ahead as the Thunder keep rolling with that signature home court magic. The fourth prediction for today is for a game between the New Orleans Pelicans and Denver Nuggets. Alright, so here's my take on tonight's matchup between the Nuggets and the Pelicans, a game that's got a bit of everything, if you ask me. The Pelicans have been having one heck of a season, and not in a good way. They're sitting way down in the Western Conference at 12-37, and honestly, it's been a rough ride. Just last night, they nearly pulled off an upset against the Celtics at home, losing by just 2 points. I mean, Jason Tatum had to step in at the buzzer to save the day, and it felt like we were watching a team on the edge. Now, don't get me wrong, there's talent on that Pelicans roster. Trey Murphy's been on fire, putting up over 22 points a night along with some solid rebounding and playmaking. And CJ McCollum is still doing his thing, dropping around 22 points as well. But when you look at the bigger picture, it's clear that injuries have really taken a toll. Zion's only played 13 games, Ingram just 18, and Murray, who is actually playing pretty well at 17.5 points per game, just suffered a devastating torn Achilles. You've got to watch that clip. When a guy falls and just grabs his ankle, you know it's over. With Murray sidelined for the rest of the season, the Pelicans are in a really tough spot, and their offensive numbers aren't exactly inspiring either. They're shooting just 110.5 points per 100 possessions, and their defense is giving up 119 points per 100 possessions. Ouch! On the flip side, the Nuggets are riding a bit higher. With a 30-19 record and sitting fourth in the West, they've been grinding out wins, even on the road, like those tight victories against the 76ers and Hornets. Sure, they've had their ups and downs, mostly because their rotation is pretty short, and sometimes that leaves them a bit vulnerable. But when you talk about elite play, Nikola Jokic is the heartbeat of the squad. The guy's having a career season, 29.6 points, 12.8 boards, and over 10 assists a game. That's pure magic on the court. Jamal Murray had a slow start this season, but he's starting to find his groove again, and that's crucial for the Nuggets. Even Russell Westbrook, still adapting to the system alongside Jokic, has had moments where you can see his old-school brilliance shine through. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Despite the Nuggets' explosive offense, averaging 119.3 points per 100 possessions, their defense is still letting too many buckets in, giving up 115.3 per 100 possessions. It's like they've got a big, shiny engine, but the brakes are a little worn out. And while Denver's been tough at home, there's been some inconsistency too. They haven't covered the spread in their last 5 games and even dropped a game as heavy favorites to the Bulls. Missing Westbrook in some stretches doesn't help either. So, where does that leave us for tonight? Well, if you're a fan of roller coaster storylines, you know that the Pelicans have shown flashes of potential before. Remember that game where they pushed the Nuggets into overtime earlier this season? But with their injury woes and dismal 4-19 road record, especially in a hostile environment like Denver, it's a tall order for them. I'm leaning towards the idea that until New Orleans gets a bit healthier, and maybe even sees Brandon Ingram back in action, they're likely going to struggle to keep up with the Nuggets on their home turf. That being said, I'm taking a bit of a contrarian view here. I'm inclined to back the Pelicans to cover an 11.5-point spread. Sure, it sounds wild given their current state, but if there's one thing this league teaches you, it's that anything can happen when the underdog is pushed to the limit. The Pelicans have shown they can light it up when conditions are right, and maybe tonight, with all the adversity piled on, they'll pull off a performance that surprises everyone. So, even though I'm not expecting them to take the win outright, I'm feeling confident enough in their potential to cover that spread. It's a tough call, and honestly, it might just be one of those games where the story writes itself right before our eyes. Let's see if the Pelicans can shake off the curse and give us a real hoops clinic tonight in Denver. The fifth prediction for today is for a game between the Orlando Magic and Golden State Warriors. Man, as the Magic hit the road and roll into the Bay Area, you can feel the tension in the air. This game's shaping up to be a real chess match, a classic showdown where defense is going to be the name of the game. Orlando's been locking down opponents all season, holding teams to just about 105.4 points a night, which is the second best mark in the league. They're not just about clogging up the paint, they're swiping turnovers like it's nobody's business and grabbing the fewest defensive rebounds out there. If the Magic want to snag a win on the road, they're gonna need to keep that intensity cranked up to 11. Now, flip the script to Golden State. The Warriors put up around 111.3 points per game, but their shooting efficiency has been all over the place. They're sitting with the 5th lowest field goal percentage in the league. They're a 3-point heavy squad that loves to push the pace, but ironically, that could be their downfall if the Magic's defense gets a lock on them. The key here is that if Orlando can contest those long-range looks and force some tough shots, they might just keep the Warriors scoring in check. It's interesting, cause Golden State plays at a completely different tempo. They thrive on fast breaks and turning defense into quick points, which is exactly what the Magic despise. Orlando's more of a half-court, methodical team. They're not exactly built for sprinting up and down the floor. So if the Warriors can force them into transition and pick up the speed, that might just tip the scales in Golden State's favor. But remember, the Magic have been stellar at keeping opposing teams from really finding their rhythm, holding them to just 47.3% shooting when they try to speed things up. Lately, though, the Magic have been struggling big time on offense. I mean, dropping scores in the 90s or worse, sometimes below 100, is not what you want to see when you're trying to win games on the road. They've been getting steamrolled by teams they should be able to hang with. I've seen losses by 14 points to the Jazz and some brutal blowouts against the Trailblazers, including one where they were outscored by 29. Sure, they had that wild double overtime fight against Miami where they put up 119, but that feels more like a lucky break than a sign of consistency. Their offense just isn't clicking right now, and that's a huge red flag. On the Warriors side, you know they can light it up when Steph Curry is in the zone, but you can't exactly ride Curry's magic solo. Andrew Wiggins, Dennis Schroeder, and the rest of the crew need to step up and contribute if Golden State is to pull this off. They've been unpredictable lately. Sometimes they cover the spread. Sometimes they leave you wondering what just happened. Given all that, I'm leaning towards playing it safe with the betting line on total points. Both teams have been leaning under the total lately, and with Orlando's lockdown defense and Golden State's erratic offense, I wouldn't be surprised if this one ends up being a low-scoring affair. At its core, this matchup is more than just a clash of numbers. It's about style and execution. You've got Orlando, a team that embodies the old-school defensive mentality, going up against Golden State, a squad that loves to run and gun and hit threes from every corner. If the Warriors can force Orlando into a fast break frenzy, they might just find their rhythm on offense. But if the Magic stay true to their guns and hold down the fort, the Warriors could end up scrambling to get points on the board. For me, every possession in this game is going to matter. Expect every rebound, every steal, and every contested shot to be a highlight. It's the kind of game where defensive stops are just as thrilling as a buzzer beater. And when it comes down to it, I'm all in on the under. With both teams known for keeping things tight and low scoring, especially the Magic on offense, I'm expecting the total points to come in under that projected 213.5. So, strap in and get ready for a gritty, grinded out battle where defense might just steal the show. This isn't about high-flying dunks or endless scoring sprees. It's about heart, hustle, and making every possession count on the hardwood.